October 12, 2025, at around 2:47 a.m., Ukrainian partisans from the movement Atesh carried out a successful sabotage mission on railway infrastructure near Novocherkassk in Russia's Rostov Oblast, 900 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Ukraine did not use tanks or fighter jets. They used deception, precision, and a plan that completely shattered Russia's southern logistics chain. First came the PSYOPs, hacked radios and fake orders that tricked Russian forces into vanishing from their own defenses, slashing patrols by 50%. Then came a Switchblade 600 attacking at rail signals. Claymores shredded the rail tracks. But this was not it. Bayraktar decoys danced across the sky, tricking Russia's Pantsir defenses into firing on their own ammunition depot. $500 million gone in a single fireball. Then, FPV drones attacked to finish everything in style, collapsing a $20 million bridge. This is the story of how one night of courage and tactics crippled Russia's supply chain, leaving its guns silent and its soldiers stranded in the dark. Since the Russian-Ukrainian war began in 2022, Ukraine's front has held firm. And now, the war has moved beyond front lines into the railways, fuel depots, and supply chains that are responsible for keeping Russia's war machine alive. By 2025, Ukraine has not just defended itself, it has adapted. It has innovated its drones and sabotage missions. With each strike, it has given a clear message that Ukraine has easy access to Russia's sensitive areas. The same message was also delivered on October 12, 2025, when Ukraine's strike paralyzed Russia's supply chain, causing delays in critically important supplies for Russian units. The railway hub in Novocherkassk was critically important for supplying the southern front, which covered the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson Oblasts. Located 560 miles away from the Ukrainian border, this region was the lifeline of Russia's southern front. Every bullet, every shell, and every drop of fuel that kept Russia's war machine alive flowed through here. A Ukrainian partisan movement known as Atesh was well familiar with this information. So, they planned a mission. Their mission was about winning the battle not with firepower, but with precision, patience, and psychological warfare. This mission was like a chess move, designed not just to destroy, but to cripple. And as night fell over Novocherkassk, the board was set and the first piece was about to move. Russian forces stationed in that sector were completely unaware of what was coming ahead. On the other hand, Atesh partisans were preparing to activate their first phase of mission, PSYOPs. They spread targeted rumors of an FSB mole inside the Rostov command. The tactics worked. Russian commanders began doubting every movement, slashing their night patrols by staggering 50%. This railway supplied about 60% of the artillery shells and rockets to Zaporizhzhia and Kherson, meaning its destruction would starve Russia's entire southern front. So, this mission was full of risks. Moreover, Russia had also upgraded its defensive systems. Its Pantsir S-1 was now adapted to kill small drones at a range of 2.5 miles. Its Lear-3 electronic warfare system was also designed to kill any suspicious object within a range of 150 miles. This upgraded defense network made it almost an impossible mission to accomplish. Several questions were lingering around. How would Ukraine be able to tackle this advanced defensive network? Would Ukraine be successful in its mission? What tactics would be employed to deceive Russian intelligence? Maybe Atesh partisans had the answers because what they did next showed their intelligent and powerful strategy. When the Russian supply train crossed the predetermined line, Atesh partisans executed their first move. The strategy was not to attack the supply train itself, it was to dismantle the network signals operating the train. Here came the Switchblade 600. Its target was a small concrete signal box. controlling this entire section of railway. The drone's 34-pound-shaped charge hit the target, destroying the panel instantly. The panel was gleaming red, forcing the Russian engineer inside the control cabin to give a clear order of "Stop immediately." The train finally stopped. This was what partisans wanted. Now, it was the perfect time to activate the second phase of their plan. Due to reduced Russian patrols after the PSYOPs, the partisans got enough time to plant their deadly surprise. Rows of M18A1 Claymore mines, buried just beneath the gravel to avoid any kind of Russian patrol. Now, the train was immobilized and the Atesh operator gave the command. The mines exploded, blasting hundreds of steel ball bearings at an incredible speed. The rails were torn apart, twisted, and scattered like toy tracks. Within seconds, the line was completely destroyed, leaving the train loaded with 2,000 artillery shells trapped and helpless. The destruction was loud. Alarms blared inside a Russian radar control room. Operators stared at the screen flashing with movement. Controllers shouted inside the room, "Something's wrong." An immediate signal was delivered to the nearby Pantsir S1 unit. It became alert, scanning for everything that had caused disturbance. Ukraine knew this was coming. The moment the Pantsir S1 system activated, 3 targets appeared on the radar. These were Bayraktar TB2 drones flying high and steady. They were loud and obvious. It was a strategy by Atesh partisans. With these drones, they wanted to deceive Russian radar and divert its attention from the main target. They presented these Bayraktar drones as bait, and the Russian system reacted just as Ukraine predicted. Pantsir S1 launched 357E, 6 missiles straight into the sky, striking the decoys. Now on Russian monitors, everything looked good. They spotted 3 enemy drones and destroyed them. For them, the mission was accomplished, but for Ukraine, it was not. When the Russians thought that they had destroyed the targets, the real danger was on its way, flying low, silent, and completely unseen. This danger was the drone Orlan 10, captured and modified by Ukraine. This drone was flying itself. It did not rely on a live control link that could be jammed. It was navigating by its own eyes and memory. Once in position, the Orlan began transmitting a loud X-band signature, engineered to mimic the radar footprint of a high-value Ukrainian missile drone. The Pantsir's fire control system recognized the signal as a priority, launching 657E6 interceptor missiles instantly. But the missiles were being fooled. The seekers were tracking the spoofed signature, not the Orlan 10. And where this spoof signal headed? Towards a poorly defended Russian ammunition depot. The destruction was massive. The missiles were targeted towards the drone, but they shredded the roofs of the storage bunkers instead, resulting in the ignition of the stacked munitions inside. Just seconds later, 15,000 pounds of 122mm artillery shells exploded, launching a towering fireball into the sky that lit the night like daylight. The explosion triggered a fast and lethal response. A nearby airbase scrambled a Mi-28 attack helicopter, a manned hunter-killer armed with guided anti-tank missiles and thermal sensors. Its mission was to hunt down and finish off the enemy source responsible for this massive destruction. The thermal imaging system scanned the area and picked up several heat signatures. They were not the signal of a drone. They were the signals of human figures and their electronic equipment. It was the Atesh team. Within seconds, the helicopter launched the VIKHR missile. For the Atesh team, this was the endgame. They could not outrun a missile, but they could blind it. And this is exactly what they did. The partisan leader activated a last-ditch jammer, a crude but powerful device that flooded the missile's guidance band with noise. The VIKHR radar seeker could not distinguish the target, and the Atesh team disappeared into the night. Since the missile's guidance failed, they exploded in an open field, leaving the helicopter's pilot in shock. Then Ukraine came with their final approach of the night. From just a mile away from a hidden position, a second Ukrainian team launched a swarm of 20 FPV drones, each carrying a 2-pound C4 charge. They were not automated. Each drone was controlled manually through a VR headset and a hardwired fiber connection, immune to radio interference. The target was the main supply bridge linking Novocherkassk to Russia's southern front. Flying low and fast, the swarm was roaring towards its target like a storm of angry hornets. They were impossible to stop. One by one, each drone slammed into the bridge's massive concrete support pillars, sending a deep, thunderous shockwave through the area. With a deafening crack, the central span gave away and collapsed into the river below, dragging the rail lines with it. On seeing this, the helicopter's pilot retreated from the battlefield, knowing it was out of his hands now. Emergency teams rushed towards the burning ammunition depot and the broken bridge. Sirens wailed across Rostov, and under the cover of that chaos, the Atesh partisans did not run. They disappeared into the darkness with their mission complete. They had successfully paralyzed Russia's supply chain. To understand the effectiveness of the strike, we have to understand that this was not just one massive explosion. It was a precisely coordinated series of explosions designed to break the bridge from within. The first few drones set the stage for destruction, chipping away the outer concrete and revealing the critical steel skeleton inside. Then, the next drones hit with precision, directly attacking the bridge's exposed parts. Each explosion released a shockwave of nearly 30,000 pounds per square inch that was enough to spread microscopic fractures through the concrete like lightning veins. 20 rapid explosions followed, each one intensifying the destruction. The pillars trembled, fractured, and started to deteriorate from within. The structure was not just hit, it was hollowed out. After the collapse of the foundation, the rest of the bridge was doomed. 600 feet of steel and concrete crumpled under its own mass, collapsing into the river below with a boom that resonated throughout the valley. For Russia, it was not just a logistical setback. It was an embarrassment shown to the world. Supply lines were paralyzed, causing a chain reaction of delays in the supplies for Russian occupation units on the southern front line. For Ukraine, the operation was a symbol of ingenuity and defiance, proof that even without overwhelming power, precision and strategy can turn the tide. What had been the lifeblood of Russia's southern war effort was now nothing but wreckage. The destruction was staggering and impossible to ignore. An ammunition depot packed with 15,000 pounds of artillery shells was wiped off the map. A railway was completely shattered, and a $20 million bridge was lying broken at the bottom of the river. What do you think of this? If you were in command of this strike, what would be your tactics? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share the video.